Michelle, thanks so much for your time. So perhaps let's just talk about the reason why your company is trending in the current news cycle right now, just this discussion regarding your potential expansion into the DRC. What can you tell us about this potential move, sir?
Well, Interswitch is currently executing a strategy that basically says we want to be in 4 regions in sub-Saharan Africa within 5 years. Currently, we are in East Africa with presence in Uganda and Kenya. And DRC just happens to be the next logical bet for us if we want to be in East Africa. We believe it's a very exciting market. We are currently exploring ways to set up shop in that particular country.
All right. Just a final question on this particular point. When will you be in the position to update the market on exactly what you decide as it pertains to the DRC?
I think within the next months, we should be able to do that. We're in serious discussions with key players in the market. So I think in about 3 months, we should be able to tell us where we are in a particular instance.
All right. We look forward to those developments. But shifting the focus on the evolution of digital payments. So fintech right now remaining one of the hotspot areas in attracting investment flows. It has been one of the fastest growing areas in inviting new capital, old capital to elevate the rate of growth that we've seen. But I'd just like a comment on that as a player who has been in the industry for such a long time, and especially with a cross-pollination, as it were, with telecoms operators now and retailers now also offering similar services as yourself and banks. Just a reflection on the state of the industry right now and how much room still remains for growth.
Well, first, let me quickly say that when Interswitch started, the objective was to ensure that payment is seamless on the continent. When we started, fintech was not a term that was being used, but today there are quite a lot of players in that space. As far as development is concerned, a lot has been achieved. But if you look at penetration, I would say for most markets in Africa, we are still less than 30% of penetration, and it's about 70% to go. And that 70% has to deal with the fight against cash. So the real competition for us is how do we reduce dependence on cash and do things more in a more electronic manner or in a more digitized manner. So that primarily is the objective. But I think what we have seen is that a lot of companies have come into the space, all contributing in various forms of partnership. But one ultimate goal that we all have is to reduce the dependence on cash and to make sure that payments can be done seamlessly across the continent.
Another area in terms of the move to a cashless society, as it were. So I'm here at the US Africa Business Summit in Gaborone, and one of the conversations that will be had are about how to accelerate the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Area deal. And now what we have already seen, sir, is a few institutions who are playing their part in that and allowing for payments in multi-currencies, as it were, merchants to trade amongst each other within their respective currencies. I'd just like to understand how you see the opportunity of boosting intra-Africa trade and what this potentially means for your business.
I think it is a very welcome development. It is something we have all hoped for, and we like the direction that is being approached. For Interswitch specifically, this is an area we have really thought about for many years. We currently have solutions that we have developed to take advantage of that opportunity. And in fact, we are part of the partners working with PAPS, the Pan-African Payment System, to bring this idea to fruition. There's a lot to be done, but I'm very happy with the progress that has been made so far.
Just circling back to the expansion plans that you mentioned at the top, one of the reports that you are cited in just talks about how your company is monitoring quite closely some of the regulatory reforms reform happening in the likes of Nigeria, your home country, sir, Egypt, as well as Ethiopia, just talking about the potential there of amplifying the mobile money opportunity. So perhaps we start off with what is happening at home. There has been a few regulatory reforms since the change of administration with the new president, most notably the free float of the Naira. And I'd just like to understand how you rate some of the reforms that have happened and the potential opportunity that they do present for the areas in which you operate.
Well, first, I think there seems to be agreement that the policies that the current government have put in place are actually headed in the right direction. How do we know this? We have begun to see inflows of FDIs into the country, something that has really stood up for quite some time. So we believe that policies that the government has made and the direction they're headed is actually the correct one. For Interswitch specifically, as you know, we are owned by private equity, and the impact of FX on our business is quite substantial. So any solution that takes us closer to a position where there's unification of the exchange rates is a very, very positive one for us. I will look forward to developments coming out of this policy direction of the federal government of Nigeria.
All right. Mitchell, I got to let you go, but perhaps a quick comment on a potential initial public offering, whether that's still in the pipeline and when?
Well, I'm unable to give you specifics on that, but let me quickly say that, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, Interswitch is owned by private equity to a large extent now, and at some point they have to exit the business. And when they exit, there are many options on the table. An IPO is one of those options, obviously, but I cannot comment on specifics at this point in time.
All right. Thanks so much for taking the questions. I think that there will be a lot of excitement around an announcement when it can be made, just given that you are one of a few unicorns on the continent, a company that's market valuation, of course, has reached $1 billion status. But that was Mitchell Elegbe. He's the founder as well as the group managing director of fintech company, a payments group, Interswitch.